My guest in the Nimataion today is Shonagh Home, and together we are spinning a yarn. Shonagh, you're a teacher, counselor, author, and poet. And we bonded our love for stories and magic. And I'm so happy to have you here. Welcome.
Oh, thank you. I'm honored.
Shonagh, what has been your favorite story in your childhood?
All right. We talked about this briefly, and I said, gosh, I have two stories that were very dear to me. I'm just going to talk about one, but they're both sad stories. And when I was a little girl and growing up for a while, I wanted nothing more than to be a ballerina. That's all I wanted to be. And I went to this convent school run by nuns in Toronto, Canada, through seventh grade. And they would have teachers from the Royal Ballet of Canada come and teach ballet from first grade on. And so when I was a little girl, I was gifted a book, and I still have it. And it's a ballet. It's Giselle or the Willy, Willi. And it is the most beautiful, poignant, touching human story. Oh my goodness. Um, so it takes place, first of all, the ballet itself first was shown in 1841 in France. And it was just a sensation, and it touched so many, many people, brought them to tears. And so the story is of Giselle, and she is in this little peasant community, and they live on the edge of a huge forest in the Rhineland. And she is very sensitive being, and she's got kind of a weak heart, a delicate heart. And so her mother wants her to be very careful, and she doesn't like her out there dancing all the time. And so there's a young man who is in love with her, but there is another man who shows up by the name of Lois, and he's really a noble. And of course, in that time, you cannot change classes. And so he disguises himself as just a common village young man. And he's very taken by Giselle. And so they do in the ballet, of course, these beautiful pas de deux, these dances together. And she absolutely falls in love with him. So this other man, I can't remember his name now. In any case, he's very jealous. And he tries to win her love, and she rejects him in favor of Lois. And so this rejected angry man he's suspicious of Lois, and he finds Lois has hidden his sword, his cape, everything, obviously very expensive. This is not a common villager. And so what happens is Lois, he is the son of a duke, and he's actually betrothed to this woman, Bathilde. And so she shows up with these other noblemen to their little humble town, and she meets Giselle and kind of befriends her. She gives her a necklace, and anyway, and then she leaves. Meanwhile, this angry young man, he comes forth with the sword of Lois, and he exposes Lois, and he uses this instrument of Lois to call Bathilde and her huntsman back. So exposes the whole thing to Giselle. And she is so devastated that she goes mad and then takes the sword and kills herself. And so as a ballet, this is so much more than just a performance for the characters. And for the dancer who plays Giselle, she has to dance madness. And it's just incredible. And so the first act ends with her dead, and Lois, who really truly loved her, but he was reckless. And so here's the first piece to the story. This story illustrates these reckless mistakes we all make, and some of them very, very great with very grave consequences. And he did love her, but he was also playing with her, and he was young, whatever, and he was dishonest. It was a betrayal. Now, the second scene, what happens is because she committed suicide, she could not be buried on sort of hallowed ground. So she was buried in the forest. Well, in the forest are the Willi. And the Willi is from a Slavic word vili, which also means vampire. And it is this group of young maidens who died before their wedding day because they were betrayed by the man they loved. And the queen of the Willi is Queen Mirtha, and she has a scepter of rosemary, and rosemary is an herb of remembrance. And so she is all about, we will never forget how we were betrayed and wronged. And so what they do is they lure these young men into the forest at night from midnight till dawn, and they dance them till they are exhausted and die. And so now Giselle rises from her grave and she is welcomed sort of into the fold to dance with these women forevermore. And so the first person to enter the forest in grief and regret is this young man who exposed Lois to Giselle in the first place. And so they set upon him and they dance him till exhaustion, and then he drowns, and that's the end of him. Well, then Albrecht is the name of Lois's real name is Albrecht. Then he shows up, and he shows up with flowers, and he is so ashamed. Like he's truly, truly just so regretful, remorseful. And then Giselle appears to him, and they have this absolutely beautiful dance together until, of course, the queen sees him and he's going to dance. They're going to dance him to death. And by the way, in the dance, the women are always shown with their arms. I'm not sure if I can do it, but they're like this, the arms, or like this, but often like this. And what that's supposed to represent is the babies that they were never able to hold. I mean, there's so much depth to this ballet. And so what happens is they dance him, but Giselle forgives him. And she says, I understand. I forgive you. I understand what happened. And so she dances with him, but is encouraging him, you can make it through, you can make it through, until finally the sun comes up and they really have to leave. And then she disappears and the ballet ends where Albrecht is alone. And he just sort of walks towards the audience in this place of awe where he realizes in that moment he has been forgiven of something that would be unforgivable. And we call that grace. Grace is given when you least expect it. And so it's this story of betrayal or grave mistake, redemption, and forgiveness. And that had such an impression on me, I tell you. It just touched my heart so deeply. And actually, I watched the ballet again before we met and read through the story, and I couldn't stop crying, and I thought, oh my God, I hope I can speak of this without crying. Like that's how like it moves me to this day.
I can hear how touched you are by telling the story alone. What is it that moves you so much?
This ballet, the story, it's very supernatural. These women are supernatural, these spirits who come forth vengeful and angry. And I think even in magic, there are so many people abusing. They're learning magic today. They're throwing curses. They don't like something you said, or you've wronged them. And it's even in the popular culture, we have just these crap garbage music. There's one song this woman sings about, I don't know, taking a key to the guy's car or something, like just this celebration of vengeance. And yet this story it just speaks to the heart. It's like, no, you can forgive. And also because Giselle forgave him, then she was free from having to ever dance with the Willi. Again, she could move on in spirit
Hmm.
rather than hold on to that piece.
Yeah. I mean, it's so beautiful. And it reminds me of fairy stories, where a stranger is called or lured in their dance. And often fairies and the dead are one and the same thing or very closely related. Is this something you've also pondered? The,
Yes. Oh, absolutely. That the dead would be connected with the fairy. You
yes.
mean?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. And I too read all manner of fairy tales growing up. I mean, I was just utterly captivated.
Mm.
They really spoke to me. And I thought of, oh, maybe I'll talk about one or two of those. But I just thought, I still feel that story of Giselle. Like it's still, and you watch that ballet. Oh my God, you weep. How can you not weep? And this is the thing too with ballet, it's mime as well. I mean, it's such an old art of dance and mime and music, and it evokes emotion in you. Like they just have this amazing gift to be able to bring you, draw you in into the story
Mm.
that is so profound and so deep. And so I would encourage people to go on YouTube and, you can watch, there's different companies that have performed this. You can watch it. It's gorgeous.
Yeah. Yeah. Uh, It's interesting because ballet was also my first approach to classical music. I love classical music and I was drawn into it by Swan Lake. And
Oh,
up until today, I know it by heart.
oh,
And
really?
of course, it's a fairy tale, so
Yes, 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 yes. Oh, you would love Giselle.
I'm
It,
sure of it.
yeah, yeah. But it's the kind of thing, it's like she was so gentle and she was so trusting and naive and innocent. And you could say, well, yeah, that man took her innocence. And it's like, yeah, he did. He made a mistake. He was young and reckless. And everyone paid the price for that. And yet she forgave him. And she also had the option. She could have danced him to get to death.
That's it. That's the what you would expect from these classical tales of, yeah, very dramatic, tragic, and Shakespearean or whatever. But it's, yeah, the small things, the kind and gentle things that save us and the world.
Yes, yes. And then the metaphor of then she was able to move on in spirit
Yeah,
instead of being imprisoned essentially within the willy for indefinitely, and doing more horrible things justified because, it's like, no, no, forgiveness. It's so
mm.
freeing, you know?
That's how you can break the circle, the vicious
Ye-
circle.
Yes, yes, we need more of that today.
And you brought some of it today, and I'm sure it will touch the viewers as much as it touched me. Thank you so much, Shonagh.
Thank you,
Uh,
Bernard.
I'm looking forward to talk with you again soon. Until then, thank you. The
Thank
film
you.
is magic.